this video, we will gain knowledge on single random variables. Okay, so how to handle the single random variables, what are the different functions that are being used to handle the single random variables is what we are going to learn in this particular video. So let me give a brief note on what we are going to cover in this video. So we'll see the definition of single random variables. So we'll see the definition of single random variables. So let me keep it in short. Okay, then after defining what is single random variable, we will see some of the three different functions that we use to work out with this single random variables. Those are, the first one is the cumulative distribution function. Cumulative distribution function. Cumulative distribution function. Then we do have probability mass function. Probability mass function. Then we have probability density function. Probability density function. Then we will try to look into the properties of all these three functions also. So we will try to list out all properties of these functions, So we will also define two different types of single random variables. One is discrete random variable and the other one is continuous random variable. So these things we will discuss in this video, and in my next video you will see the problems related to these functions. Now see the definition of single random variable. So what is a single random variable? I think for that we should go with tossing a coin. Okay, so let us take an example of tossing a coin. So when I toss a coin, I might get head or tail, right? I might get head or tail. So if I toss the coin one time, there is a probability of getting tail, or there might be also a probability of getting head. Okay, so it all depends on the number of times I toss the coin. The probability of getting head or tail will get increased, right? So therefore the random variable is a numerical measure of the outcomes from a probability experiment, so its value is determined by chance. Okay, so random variable is some numerical measurement that we do, which comes as an output from an experiment where you will be getting a random result. So if you get a random result for any given experiment, we apply probability theory to find out the possible outcomes for those random events. So here in the image you see here, I am tossing a coin where I am getting head, which is meant as 0, where I am getting a tail, which is meant as 1. So therefore I am getting two possible values if I toss a coin one time. But if I toss a coin more than one time, I might get more number of possible values. I can get 2 times head or 2 times tail, or 1 time head and 1 time tail, and so on. So that is what the possibility of getting outputs. So random variable is a numerical measure of this possible outcomes that we get in any random events. Okay, so the range of all those possible values, the range of all those possible values or outcomes, possible values or outcomes of an experiment is normally called as, we call it as sample space, is known as sample space, sample space. So sample space is like tossing a coin is an example for sample space. So when you toss a coin, we see that you get different range of possible outcomes that we get in that experiment, where we normally call it as sample space. So I hope you got the definition of random variable. Now let us take an example. Let us take an example to be more clear for this. Now let me toss a coin 3 times. Let me toss a coin 3 times. So if I toss a coin 3 times, what would be the sample space of this particular event? Okay, so tossing a coin is some sort of random events that we do. So the sample space S would be equal to the number of possible outcomes. So therefore I will be getting 3 times head. So it is something where 3 times when you toss a coin 3 times, it is 2 power 3 times the possibilities, possible outcomes will be 2 power 3. So you get 8 possible outcomes that you get when you toss a coin 3 times. Similarly, when you toss a coin 4 times, you get 2 power 4, which is 16 outcomes, and so on. Okay, therefore I will be getting 8 possible outcomes here. Now you can just compare these 3 coins where 8 possibilities is something where in binary, 3-bit binary, 8-bit 8 outcomes. So it is 0 0 0 0 0 1. So I will consider head as 0 and tail as 1. So it is that way, it is easier to know the possibilities. Means if you write the possibilities in that way, I think you can remember it properly. So what we do 3-bit binary, what is the maximum range of 3-bit binary we get? Till 111, right? So it is 0 0 0 0 0 1 0 1 0 1 1 1 0 0 1 0 1 1 1 0 and 7. So we get 8 possibilities. So in that place I will take 0 as head, 1 as tail. In that way if I write head head head, means 3 times I am getting head when I toss a coin 3 times. 2 times I get head and 1 time I get tail, which is 0 0 1. So I just compare that with this. Then head tail head, then head tail tail, comma tail head head, then tail head tail, comma tail tail head, comma all 3 times getting tail. So here all 3 times I am getting head when I toss 3 times. First 2 times when I toss I get head, and last third coin when I do the third toss I get tail. Similarly I get head tail head, head tail tail, tail head head, and so on. Now what we need to see here is we need to see the random variable. Okay, we need to calculate the number of random variable x. So normally random variable will be denoted by the alphabet x, okay, capital X. Now what would be the x value? Will be equal to x1 comma x2 comma so on. Now let me consider getting head. Let me suppose consider the number of heads in the random variable x. Let me consider number of possible outcomes as head. Means we should find out the random variable based on the number of possible outcomes, which is head, not tail. So therefore what would be the sample space would be equal to. So let me see how many times I am getting head. So I am getting only head only 1 time, which is 0. Let me consider that as 0. Now let me see how many times I am getting 1 time head, which is I have 1 time head. So it is HTT, comma THT, comma TTH. So this is one time head. So let me take the random variable 1. Let me assign 1 to that. Now let me see 2 time head whatever I am getting. So how many possibilities? 1 possibilities, then 2 possibilities, then third possibility. That's it. So let me number it as 2. Finally, no head at all, which is all 3 times it is tail. I will number it as 3. Okay. So therefore, the random variable x would be equal to 0, 1, 2, 3. Or you can also write x to be equal to, now I am getting 3 times head here, 3 times head here, so I will say 3, comma, only 2 times head here, so I will say 2, comma, 2 times head, 2, comma, then I will say 2 times 1 time head here, so 1, comma, then 2 times head here, so 2, comma, 1 time head here, so 1, comma, 1, comma, no head at all, so 0. So here certain values of the random variable are repeated, therefore I can just write the random variable x to be equal to 0, comma, 1, comma, 2, comma, 3. Okay. So there is a possibility of not getting head at all. There is a possibility of 1 time getting head. There is a possibility of 2 time head getting head. There is a possibility of 3 times getting head. So therefore, this is how we try to represent the random variable for any given example. Now coming to types of random variables. Types of random variables. Yeah, here I think don't get confused. So here I wrote head 3 times head as 0. I think you can write this as 3. So I think if you don't get confused, and then I will write here it is 0. I think that makes much clear. Okay. Anyway, if I consider about the probability, the amount of information containing here is too high. Why? Because we don't have head at all. So once we don't have head, then definitely there will be an high information here. But here we have all 3 heads, so no information at all. See, always what we consider is, if there is any event that is going to occur, and if it is a normal event that will happen, then we say there is no information in that particular case. Now if there is a very rare event if it is happening in that particular state, then we say lot of information is there in that. It means I will just give you a small example. If I say a huge snowfall in Chennai, now Chennai no snowfall at all, but see the amount of information which is present there. So you have lot of information there, because it is not an event which occurs very which occurs in Chennai. So therefore we will have huge amount of information in that. Whereas if I say huge snowfall in Kashmir, there is no information at all, because it is a regular case that we see in Kashmir having a snowfall, right? So therefore this is how the probability that we consider. When we have huge information, we see that the random occurs very rare, the event occurs very rare. When we say no information at all, it means it's a regular event that will occur. That is how the probability theory is all about. Okay, anyway, now let us go with types of random variables. So there are 2 types of random variables. One is continuous random variable, and the second one is discrete random variable. Okay, one is the continuous random variable, the second one is discrete random variable. Okay, so let us see in detail about discrete random variable. So what is discrete random variable? So if the word itself says discrete, those are the variables which can assume only a specific number of values. Okay, so discrete random variables are the variables which can assume only a specific number of values, so probably 0 and 1, and example would be tossing a coin. Tossing a coin would be a example of discrete random variable. So these are the variables which can assume only a specific number of values. And moreover, the important point of discrete random variable is these variables will have values that can be counted or measured, okay, or measured. You can measure or count the discrete random variables. So tossing a coin, where you can find out the number of heads or number of tails that comes into picture, so you can measure it. Okay, so some of the examples that you can measure would be number of bikes getting manufactured from a production unit. Now always when any vehicle is been manufactured in any company, so they will have a measurement on each bikes coming out, or any vehicle you take. So they will have the countability of the number of vehicles going out of the company after manufacture. So they will have a countability of the bikes getting into the showrooms. So those are countable. Okay. Second example would be the number of peoples in the family. So even this is countable, right? If I ask you how many peoples are there in your family, you will tell the number. So that is also measurable, right? Anything you can also take in chemistry, for example, number of bacteria. Normally we measure bacteria in water per 2 cubic centimeter of water. I'll say H2O. So number of bacteria per 2 cubic centimeter of H2O. So you will find out what would be the amount of bacteria per 2 cubic centimeter of water. That is how the measurement will be done. So this is something related to discrete random variables and an examples of discrete random variables. Now coming to continuous random variable. Continuous random variables. Continuous random variables. So these are the variables. These are the variables which can assume all values between any two given values. Okay, these are the variables which can assume all values between any two given values. Now example are, what would be example? Marks obtained by students. So this is an example of continuous, because the marks obtained by students will be 0 to 100, any value between 0 to 100, right? Out of 100, what would be the marks that student has been is been awarded, whether it is 35 or 40 or 45 or 60 and so on. So marks obtained by students can be an example of continuous random variable. Okay, I would say lifetime of a satellite. So if I ask you to measure the lifetime of a satellite, so for how many days the satellite might be in the space, who knows? It is also continuous random variable. It can be stayed for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 years, 6 years and so on. So maximum lifetime would be 15 years normally. So it all depends. So lifetime of a satellite is something related to continuous random variable. Okay. So you can have many examples for continuous random variable. So how to handle these random variables, which is very, very important, right? How to handle these random variables. Now think, I am giving you a set of values which are random in nature, and if I ask you to do something with those values, how will you handle it? Very good example, let me tell you. You have sugar which is completely powdered, and even salt is completely powdered. I will mix both and I will give it to you to differentiate sugar and salt in the mixture. How will you feel? How do you differentiate? So that is what the random variable nature is all about. Okay, you might feel the data is same, but there will be lot of difference between the data. Now if you see a completely powdered sugar and completely powdered salt, you feel both are same, and when you see, you feel both are same until and unless you taste it. Once you taste sugar and once you taste salt, you will realize that okay, this is salt or this is sugar. But if I mix both and if I give you to differentiate it, how will you do that? So that is what the random variable nature is all about. Okay, so therefore if you have a random variables in that nature, how will we measure it? How can we give life to that? Okay, how can we make a meaning of those random variables? Those will be done by cumulative distribution function, probability mass function and probability density function. Okay, so now what we see is we will try to work on cumulative distribution function. What is cumulative distribution function? First of all, we'll write the definition for cumulative distribution function. Okay, so the cumulative or the continuous distribution function, we can also call this as continuous distribution function. Okay, now the cumulative distribution function, so I'll use a short form of that. So a cumulative distribution function of a random variable x, of a random variable x is defined as the probability, okay, is defined as the probability that the random value x takes any value less than or equal to x. Okay, this is small x. Okay, so the cumulative distribution function of a random variable x is defined as, so that is capital X, random variable x is defined as the probability that the random value x takes any value less than or equal to x. Okay, so I think you should underline the word probability, underline the word probability. So therefore if I write the mathematical formula for this, if I write the mathematical representation for this, if I write the mathematical representation for this, what will I get? F x of x equals probability of x being less than or equal to x. This is the formula. Cumulative distribution function fx of x would be equal to probability of a random variable x that takes any value less than or equal to x. Okay, so I hope the formula which I have discussed with you for cumulative distribution function is clear to you. Okay, so now what we do, we will try to see what is the cumulative distribution function for a discrete random variable. So suppose x is equal to x1, x2, x3, so on xn. So this would be the possible values of x, of the probability of the random value of x that takes any value which is less than or equal to x. Let me consider this. So now the value, if you take in a line, in a number line, the left side tends to minus infinity, whereas right side tends to plus infinity. So therefore any value between this would be x1, x2, so on till xn. So that is what the probability of the random variables x that takes any value less than or equal to some variable x. Okay, so therefore x1 to xn would be a random values that is being considered to be a cumulative distribution function x. So therefore with this number line, if I say what is CDF for discrete random variable, then I would say fx of x would be equal to 0. Okay, would be equal to 0 for x being greater than or equal to minus infinity and less than or equal to x1. Okay, so I would say fx of x would be equal to 0 if it is minus infinity. Greater than or equal to minus infinity is what? If I say minus 7, then minus 7 is actually greater than minus infinity, right? Negative values, which is lower value, which will always be greater. So any values between x1 and minus infinity, my fx of x would be equal to 0. So I hope you got it. Fx of x equals 0 for x being between minus infinity to x1. It means that this range, whatever we have, this range will have fx of x to be equal to 0. Now fx of x will be equal to summation of I equals 1 to n p of x equals xi, for x being greater than or equal to x1 and less than or equal to xn. It means that this range, this x1 to xn is what? This value. Okay, so fx of x would be equal to summation of I equals 1 to n probability of xi, means probability of probability of this should be capital X, probability of random variable x being equal to xi between x being greater than or equal to x1 and less than or equal to xn. Finally fx of x would be equal to 1 for x being greater than or equal to xn and less than or equal to infinity. It means that from here to infinity fx of x would be equal to 1. So I hope you got it, that the cumulative distribution function for digital discrete random variable would be equal to this all values that I have written. Okay. So therefore, the cumulative distribution function of a discrete random variable at any certain event is equal to the summation of, okay, is equal to the summation of the probability of the random variable. That is what it is. It is equal to the summation of the probability of random variable up to that certain event, in the sense up to x1 to xn. So up to that certain event, you see that the cumulative distribution function for a discrete random variable would be equal to the summation of the probability of random variable. Okay, so I hope you got this right. Now let us go with finding what is probability density function. Let us look into the term probability density function. Probability density function, in short we'll say it is PDF. Okay, so what is probability density function? Very simple. The derivative of cumulative distribution function, the derivation of the cumulative distribution function, derivative of the cumulative distribution function with respect to some dummy variable, even that is a random variable. Dummy is also a random variable, which is we call this dummy random variable, is called as probability density function. Mathematically, what we write for this, so if I look into a mathematical representation of PDF equals denoted by small f. See, there is a lot of difference between small f and capital F. Small f is always the derivative of CDF, which is PDF. Capital Fx of see, this is capital X, Fx of x would be CDF. Small fx of x would be equal to PDF, which would be equal to d by dx of x is a dummy variable which you are differentiating in terms of Fx of x. So if you take the derivative of or the differentiation of the CDF with respect to some dummy variable, then that is called as probability density function. Okay. So now we have seen the definition of cumulative distribution function, we have seen the definition of probability density function. Now let us go and find out the properties of CDF, and then we will look into the properties of PDF. Let us look into the properties of cumulative distribution function. Okay, the first property. So what does property 1 says? As cumulative distribution function is defined as Fx of x equals probability of x being less than or equal to x. Therefore, we know that the probability means what is the range of probability? Always the probability will always lie between 0 to 1. Keep this in mind. So when I work on probability, anywhere you go, any not only a single random variable, even in information theory and coding, if we learn this probability next, I think coming semesters you will learn that subject. There, if I say probability, it means that we are trying to find out the range between 0 and 1. Okay. So therefore, as Fx of x is also a probability function, therefore Fx of x would be either greater than or equal to 0, less than or equal to 1. Less than or equal to 1. Okay. So Fx of x will be greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 1, because fx of x is the probability of the random variable x. Okay. Next, property 2. Property 2. The property 2 says fx of minus infinity equals 0, whereas fx of plus infinity equals 1. So, I think we will have a proof for this. We should have a proof for this so that you will understand. Now, what is fx of minus infinity? So, let me have a proof for xf of minus infinity. So, what is fx of minus infinity? I can say this as limit x tends to infinity fx of x, right? I can say limit x tends to infinity fx of x, which is equal to limit x tends to infinity integration of. So, I hope I told you, so I will just recall that I told you that the probability density function fx of x would be differentiation of fx of x. Similarly, if I say what is cumulative distribution function, this can be equal to integration of the probability density function, right? If I integrate fx of x, this integration and differentiation will get cancelled. So, you are left out with fx of x. Therefore, I can say fx of x would be equal to integration of the probability density function. So, I will just write here CDF equals integration of PDF, whereas PDF equals differentiation of CDF. These two things you should keep in mind. Therefore, I will just write fx of x to be equal to integration of fx of x dx. Now, what would be the limit for integration? This will always be minus infinity to some random variable x. So, you differentiate with some dummy variable x. Here you integrate also with some dummy variable x, but I am going to give a complete range which is minus infinity to some dummy variable x. So, that becomes a complete range from minus infinity to x in the number line. So, this is minus infinity, this is some dummy variable x. So, I am going to find out the probability density function of overall range, that is what it means. So, this is equal to, when I say limit x tends to I think this is minus infinity, because we are finding out fx of minus infinity. So, x tends to minus infinity. Okay. So, therefore, I can write this as, I can cancel this limit and apply x to be equal to minus infinity here. So, it is minus infinity to minus infinity fx of x dx. So, here when an integration has minus infinity to minus infinity, I can easily say that this would be equal to 0, because we know that fx of x equals 0 for any range between x1 to minus infinity, right? That we have seen already. I think in the definition itself for the discrete random variable, I used to tell you till x1, between minus infinity to till x1, fx of x equals 0. Therefore, even fx of x between minus infinity to minus infinity, it becomes 0. Therefore, we ended up getting fx of minus infinity to be equal to 0. Okay. Now, coming to proof 2, coming to second proof, where proof for fx of infinity. What is that? Equal to limit x tends to infinity fx of infinity, fx of x, which is equal to limit x tends to infinity integration of minus infinity to x fx of x dx. Therefore, this would be equal to limit x tends to infinity so I will just cancel this limit now, I do not want limit. So I'll just put x equals infinity there, minus infinity to plus infinity, fx of x dx. Now this is the area covered by PDF, probability density function. I think while working out with the property for probability density function, you will come to know. We will see that later, which is normally equal to 1. The area covered by the probability density function will be unity, which is nothing but integration of minus infinity to plus infinity, fx of x dx equals 1. So therefore this is equal to fx of infinity is equal to 1. This is the proof. So this is the proof for property 2. So which says fx of minus infinity is 0, fx of infinity equals 1. Let us go to property 3. Let me go with property 3. So now property 3, what does it says? So property 3 says fx of x1 is less than or equal to fx of x2. The cumulative distribution function of some random variable x1 will be less than or equal to the cumulative distribution function of some random variable x2 if random variable x1 is less than or equal to x2. So if random variable is less than or equal to second random variable, then it will also holds good for the cumulative distribution function of first random variable being less than or equal to the cumulative distribution function of the second variable, random variable. Fine. I hope it is clear to you. Now the next property is let me say property 4. So the property 4 says the probability of x being less than or equal to x2 minus probability of x being less than or equal to x1. Okay, so what is this? This is nothing but probability of x being less than or equal to x1 less than or equal to x2. So if I have this condition where probability is between the between x1 and x2 being x is greater than or equal to x1 and less than or equal to x2, then we can say that probability of a random variable x being less than or equal to x2 minus probability of a random variable x being less than or equal to x1. So which is equal to fx of x2 minus fx of x1. Okay. So this is nothing but probability of x being less than or equal to x2 is nothing but the cumulative function of x2, cumulative distribution function of x2 minus the cumulative distribution function of x1. Okay. So this is the property 4 in terms of cumulative distribution function. So these are the 4 main properties that you should keep in mind in terms of cumulative distribution function. Okay. Now let us go with the probability of, let us consider the properties of probability density function. Let us look into the properties of probability density function. Okay. So property 1. Let us go with property 1. So here PDF is always non-zero because it is a differentiation of cumulative, therefore it should be always non-zero for all values of x, for all values of x. It means that fx of x should be greater than or equal to 0. Non-zero means it should be greater than or equal to 0 for all values of x, for all values of x. Okay. The reason is, the reason is the cumulative distribution function always increases, it will always increases monotonically, it will always increases monotonically, it keeps on increasing. Therefore, due to CDF is always increasing, PDF or derivative of CDF is positive always, is positive always, is positive always. Therefore, PDF is equal to d by dx of the CDF, d by dx of CDF. Now, as d by dx of CDF is always greater than or equal to 0, therefore, fx of x will be greater than or equal to 0 always. Okay, it should be always non-zero. Now, if CDF is constant, then definitely fx of x will become 0, because differentiation of constant is always 0. Okay, therefore, it will rarely become 0, but the reason is CDF will not keep quiet, it always increases monotonically. The sequence of random variables will always be increased, it will never get reduced, right? So, therefore, that is the reason derivative of CDF will always remain to be positive. If at all, if CDF becomes constant, then the differentiation of constant becomes 0, then you will see that PDF will become 0. Okay. Now, let me go with property 2. So, what does property 2 says? The area, this is what I was telling in the properties of CDF when I was discussing. The area under the PDF curve is always equal to unity, is always equal to unity, is always equal to 1. Unity means it is always equal to 1. It means that integration of minus infinity to plus infinity, fx of x dx will always be equal to 1. Will always be equal to 1. So, let us see the proof for this. So, I hope this was the one which I wrote for fx of infinity. Fx of infinity equals 1, right? So, this is fx of infinity only. Okay, let me go with proof for this. Now, we know that PDF is fx of x equals d by dx of fx of x, d by dx of fx of s. Now, integrating on both sides, integrating on both sides with respect to x and limit x being greater than or equal to minus infinity or less than or equal to infinity. So, what do we get here? Integration of minus infinity to plus infinity fx of x dx equals integration of minus infinity to plus infinity d by dx of fx of x. So, which is equal to integration and differentiation gets cancelled, where the limit will be applied for fx of x now, fx of x with the limit minus infinity to plus infinity. Now, this can be written as fx of infinity minus fx of minus infinity. Now, we know fx of infinity is 1 minus fx of minus infinity is 0, which is equal to 1. Therefore, integration of minus infinity to plus infinity fx of x dx equals 1. This is the value. This is the proof for this property 2. Now, let us go with property 3. Let us go with property 3. it is possible to get, it is possible to get CDF by integrating PDF. This I have already told you, but let us have a proof for this. So it means that fx of x would be equal to integration of minus infinity to x fx of x dx. So cumulative distribution function is equal to integration of probability density function. Similarly, probability density function is equal to differentiation of cumulative distribution function. So let us have a proof for this. So let me take fx of x. What is fx of x? It is equal to d by dx of fx of x. D by dx of fx of x. Now what we do? We integrate both sides. We integrate both sides in terms of with respect to x and takes limits x being greater than or equal to minus infinity, less than or equal to x. Okay, so what we will get? Minus infinity to x fx of x dx equals integration of minus infinity to x fx of d by dx of fx of x. Now dx you can write. Now what will happen? Which is equal to, now d by dx integration gets cancelled and the limits will be applied for fx of x. Fx of x with the limit minus infinity to x, which can be written as fx of x minus fx of minus infinity. Now this fx of minus infinity is 0, therefore I will get fx of x. So therefore I can say that fx of x would be equal to minus infinity to x fx of x dx. So therefore these are the three main properties of probability density function, and I hope you people are clear with what is cumulative distribution function and what is probability density function. Okay, now let us see what is probability mass function. So let us consider x being a discrete random variable with range r equals x1 comma x2 comma so on, which are countable variables, and finite or infinite. Okay, this is the range. Therefore the probability mass function for this discrete random variable x is given by px of xk equals probability of x being equal to xk, where k equals 1, 2, 3, so on. This is the probability mass function of x. So what is probability mass function? So the probability mass function is a probability measure that gives probabilities of the possible values. Probabilities of the possible values for any random event. For any random event. So this is normally probability mass function. We considered it for discrete random variable. Okay, probability mass function will always be considered for discrete random variable. So I hope the cumulative distribution function, the probability density function, and the definition of probability mass function is clear to you. Okay, it's much clear to you. So normally, what is the two important things which I want to say you? One is, for discrete random variable, we need to use probability mass function. Okay, keep this in mind. For discrete random variable, we need to use probability mass function, and for continuous random variable, we need to use probability density function. See the difference. For DRV, discrete random variable, we use probability mass function, whereas for continuous random variable, we need to use probability density function. Okay. So I hope in this video you people are clear with the properties and definition related to cumulative density function, distribution function, probability density function, and probability mass function. In my next video, we'll see the problems related to these three functions. Thank you.